Wow. That's crazy, isn't it? Ooh,
It
shall we go
is.
here?
Sure.
Look like a little rising moon. Well, here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Feed My Sheep Earthquake Reports and More. This is the more portion. In this case, it's preps. And so with everything going on of the unexpected catastrophic events category, we're covering preps. And we talked about it this last program about the birds that are black that have long necks and how many of those types of events might be showing up.
Yep.
Before we begin, all of our programs are dedicated to our Heavenly Father service, and we'll begin with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, we thank you all for helping us through these times like no other as we go into end times. There's a great many things going on, or great tribulation coming up. We thank you for the depth of understanding you provided for us, that you've prepared us in so many ways, and that we can share these things. We pray that we do a good job. Holy Spirit, we need help in delivering the message as you would. And we pray all of this in good service by Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so here we go. We're going to talk mainly about a worldwide conflict event for the third time. We're going to cover near civilization death event and a martial law and civil conflicts that are going on around the world. And we have listeners from various countries, so we want to make sure that we include everybody and realize that there's stuff going on all over the world, and we can all of us regular, normal people can be doing things to protect ourselves from these other people, bad people, who are just trying to mess up the whole entire world. Yep.
Absolutely. So there's lots going on, and we've talked about that in previous programs. So now we're going to talk about how to be prepared, and we're going to go through the basics fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through lists of items pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, and then we're going to get, once we get past the general aspects, then we'll get into some more specifics if you're getting more detailed.
Right. Okay. And those will pertain to the three main UCEs that we were listing at the start of the program here. As you can see, I'm the procurement officer, and the bags are like down here. We have decided, we're both pensioners, so we have decided that instead of going on trips and getting frivolous things, or things that make life totally easier and not easy at the same time, that we were going to turn the money towards being prepared for ourselves, for our families, for neighbors, as needed. And we started, between the two of us several years ago, in general preparations for any hard time. Somebody's out of a job, somebody's moved to a new area, there's been a natural disaster. So that's what both of us always looked at.
And you can look at this from an earthquake perspective or any kind of natural disaster. You're going to need preps. If you don't have electricity, you're going to need to cover that off. If you don't have water supply, you're going to need to cover that off. If you don't have garbage service, you've got to look after that yourself.
Exactly.
Whatever it might be. If you don't have fuel deliveries to your area, what are you going to do then? And
also, I'm going to say, if like people in our area, if you did not take the jabs last time, you couldn't go see a doctor or a dentist, and a lot of the places nowadays, they finally eased up on getting in to see them sometimes, but now that Tedros has declared that they're going to use the monkeypox as the new worldwide threat, that means lockdowns again.
Yeah.
And no access to medical facilities if you can't prove your status.
So you've got to cover that off yourself. You've got to have the alternatives.
Alternatives, yes.
And you've got to have some medical background in those that are around you, even if you don't have it yourself. And if you can learn more yourself, that's great.
Yeah.
Having some of the tools, having the tweezers, having the knives, having the thread, having various different things, that all makes a difference as well. Having the correct items that you need to perform whatever it is that you need to look after.
Right. So, okay, we're going to get started. We're going to go through food really quick. And we realize that there's a difference between city and rural. And we're going to try to keep that in mind as we talk about things, okay? So, first of all, when I procure, I've made an inventory sheet of what we need and what we think we need and what we have and how much. And we keep that separate from our everyday use. And then we rotate through both sides so that items are always fresh, which is what you need. You aim for a 6 month. We need to have a 6 month right now, if not longer.
Yeah.
Especially once digital ID and
and the
mark comes
and the
in.
very serious people that have been at it for a long time are saying 3 years.
Yes.
So there's a few that are preparing for 3 years as well.
Yeah. So going through grains, flour has about a 2-year shelf span. Okay. Wheat berries, on the other hand, have a good 20-year lifespan if you're careful with them. Same with your oatmeal, different types of flour, whole grain oats, flakes, rice, of course. And you eat what you can tolerate, and you also make sure you have variety. Okay. Now understand that with all those grains, I can do a lot of baking. Yeah, you might be able to, but are you always going to find yeast? Biscuits are really good. Okay. And
if you've got grain, you've got to either have a hand crank grain grinder, or you've got to have an electric mill. And then if you've got electric, you're going to have some means of power
source for it. Yes. Yeah. So we'll cover that. But beans, okay? You've got pasta, pancake mix. You can make it with the flour and stuff you have, or you can store that off to the side, because pancakes, frankly, are a comfort food, and people need a comfort food. So you've got all your dry beans. You can put them in canned beans, especially, I think if you live in the city, canned goods would be great. They go under couches, beds, closets, anywhere, and you don't need to worry about soaking them in a lot of water. If you can't get hold of a lot of water, they're quick and easy. You can eat them cold if you need to, because you can't set a fire in your apartment. And if you're out on the balcony, people are going to say, hey, you've got cook stuff for us. It can be all sorts of things. So canned goods, especially I think in city living situations, is a really good idea. So think about all the different types of beans that you can eat. There is protein in them. There's good carbohydrates. And you have all of those things that you go into there. Salt and sugar, big ones. Sea salt, salt for pickling. Okay. If you have, by the way, if you have the Himalayan pink, make sure it's the actual real Himalayan pink salt, because they are now calling some salts pink.
They're adding pink to it.
They're adding pink color to it, and it's iodized, and you can't really can with pink salt. Redmond salt is really good. We like it as well. And kosher or pickling salt works on everything. And salt is your friend. It's not going to kill you with your heart. Okay? Salt. Sea salt, fine sea salt. You can make that into a saline solution, right?
Yep. You can do an eye wash with it.
Yeah. So, and also infections, oral infections, anything like that. Now, sugar. Salt is for curing and preserving. So is sugar. Your white sugar is your best. For those of you who have to watch out for lower sugar, or if you're doing like carnivore or ketovore, you take your sugar down to coconut sugar. But just be aware, white sugar is a necessity. Even though it's nice to be able to go, well, I'm not going to eat sugar anymore. If it gets down to it, or when it gets down to it, you're going to need that white sugar, because white sugar does a lot of canning, does a lot of curing, and it's also good for cuts and abrasions. Okay? Works really well as an antibacterial. Moving on. Canned vegetables. Again, anything canned that you can do. If you're out in the country and you can can them yourself, can your favorite vegetables, the things that you're going to eat and that you can afford to eat. Don't get stuff that you're not going to eat.
And you can get dry whatever in beans and can them at home as well. Even in the city if you want.
Well, but I'm looking at, you've got power outage, potential power outage, things like that. So that's why I was stressing canned. More for city people. Okay, so can what you eat what you canned. Same with fruit in there. Peaches, fruit cocktail, cherries. Make a little pie, make a little tart with that flour and sugar, butter, salt that you have. Your dried fruits and nuts, good sources of good vitamins and minerals. Eat what you can tolerate. I got it in there. Yeah, if you do freeze-dried stuff, good on you. Go for everything that you can with freeze-dried. And we've got all that.
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables, So, canned meat and canned fish. This is a big one, all right? And
you've got to have enough protein.
You've got to have the protein. You have to have the cholesterol. Cholesterol, believe it or not, the LDL cholesterol, your brain is made up of that stuff. And that's the food that your brain needs. HDL and LDL. If you cut down your cholesterol, you're going to have a lot of memory, cognitive problems, and heart issues and everything else. Those STATINSs are not good for you. Okay? That's all been done to make money. So eat your fats. Eat your animal-based fats. Okay? You can get lard. Lard can be stored. Shelf life on it is a long time. All right? Tallow, make it into lard later. Same thing. If you have refrigeration, great. Now, canned stuff, like your tunas, your sardines, your oysters. Look at all the nutrition, the different, zinc and selenium on top of everything else with smoked oysters. So learn to love smoked oysters or not, your choice. You've got salmon, you've got crab, you've got Spam, corned beef. Just watch your ingredients. Get the least processed canned meats and stuff that you can. All right, and that's better for you. Canned soup, yes, you know what to do. Stock, whether you get it in bouillon cubes or powders or concentrate, you need the stock for flavoring. There's nothing worse than boring food. Also, bone stock, when you can get it and you can keep it shelf stable, that is highly nutritious for you. And you need the nutrition. When you're not working, not moving around a lot, they're saying around 2,000 calories a day. If you're out there putting out the energy to do a garden, to do house repairs, or whatever you need to do, you can be burning 3,500 calories easily. So those fats are good for you. They are the energy that your body needs, okay?
It's the densest energy food that you can have is in the fats.
Yeah. Now, really quick, baking. And yes, you can store yeast, and if you have sourdough, that's great. But let me keep in mind for you that also, if you don't have availability of yeast, but you've got baking powder, you've got baking soda, or you can make your own baking powder with baking soda, salt, cream of tartar, or cornstarch. You can make biscuits, you can make flatbreads, you can make pancakes, anything.
Now,
and that also cuts down on the amount of things that you're storing.
So just as an example, coming from way back in history with fur trading, carrying big packs of furs, paddling canoes, doing portages, doing the heaviest possible work that almost nobody could do today. What were they going on? What they were going on was mainly pemmican, and that was animal fats and berries mixed together. Yeah. And they were not suffering as a result. They were able to endure some just amazing feats of endurance and strength through doing that. And so fats historically have been used to get through the hard times.
Yeah. So if you want treats for the kids, make some cookies. You're going to need your vanilla extract. You're going to, Hershey's Chippets. We go to Hershey's because they decided to stay as much as possible with the purest chocolate instead of going half chocolate, half wheat, and all the impurities now, and still call it chocolate. So make your choices on that sort of thing. Again, pectin for making jams. We recommend Millard citric acid for fruits when you're canning those, because that keeps the color, keeps the oxidation down. Pickling lime. If you have an opportunity, and this only works with farm eggs, okay? Farm eggs that have only been brushed off, not washed. If they're washed, that protective coating is off of them, and it's no bueno.
I think it's called bloom.
Bloom, thank you.
Yeah.
If that's off of it. So you want farm eggs, and especially start gathering them now, this time of year, because in the wintertime, they go way down.
In production.
On production. And again, you don't know if people are going to be able to get hold of grains, vegetables, and whatnot for their chickens. So what you do is you gather those eggs now and you water glass them. And that calls for pickling lime. And it's available on Amazon. And it'll show you how to do and pickle your eggs, and your eggs will last like 2 years, and you can still crack them open, fry them, scramble them, use them in baking sauces and anything else.
They'll become soft shelled. That's about all.
Yeah, but that's about all. But you can still crack them and use them as normal, and that's pickling lime or slaked lime. So that is I think, a must thing to do. You've got your fats. Again, we've talked about the other fats, your coconut, your olive oil. Olive oil has a great double purpose, because remember, a long time ago, lamps were run on olive oil. So these days, you take a piece of copper wire, you put it down through the wick into the oil, you light your wick, once it's all soaked up.
We're talking about your old-fashioned hurricane lanterns.
Hurricane
and those
lanterns,
types,
yes. Yeah. So you light that wick, it heats up the copper wire into the oil, and
the oil becomes thinner and it will wick up. Olive oil on its own, the refined olive oil. No, we're not talking about the extra virgin, but the refined olive oil you can use in storm lanterns and glass-topped lanterns, but it has to be heated in order to work properly. So if you have to do a pre-soak of the wick, and then you have to then allow it to heat up, and you might have to pre-soak it a couple of times to get that one or two wires in the wick hot enough that it'll start pulling up the oil through the wick.
Yeah, so it does work. So again, lard, that is shelf stable. So is the coconut oil, so is the olive oil. You start doing your other stuff like your sesame and peanut oil and avocado oil, their shelf lives are not that good. So be aware of that. Butter or ghee is very good. If you have refrigeration, butter lasts you a year or two in the refrigerator or the freezer. And again, that's that fat that you absolutely need. But ghee is good too. Milk, evaporated milk in cans. Come over this way.
Yep.
Okay. The milk in cans, whole powdered milk, not skim milk. Again, they've taken the fat out of the milk that you need. And with your cooking, you need the nutrition. So go whole milk on your powdered milk. You can do coconut milk, for cooking. Again, that's a good fat. It gives you different flavors. And if you have a low tolerance for lactose, that's the way to go, unless you have kefir grains, and then the kefir helps take care of that lactose problem. Cheeses, dried cheeses, things like that you can do. Your leavening, baking powder, baking soda, cornstarch, cream of tartar, salt. That's all you need for your baking stuff, and you can do anything and everything.
2 parts cream of tartar, 1 part baking soda, and you have baking powder.
Yep. So, if you have baking mixes, brownie, Ghirardelli brownies are always good to have. Mm-hmm. Drinkables.
Coffee
teas. Beans.
Yeah.
If you can grind them, and you have a camping stove, a stovetop coffee pot, always good to have to grind and make your own coffee, because those coffee beans in their original plastic packaging, the bulk type, not the ones that are pre-ground or in paper bags, but in the plastic, and you can transfer them there. Those coffee beans will last a long time, and as you can tell, they're already talking about coffee bean diseases. All right, so we can't have any. So be aware of that. Your green tea, medicinal purposes, astringent, handles eye infections, handles wound care, everything else. Ginger honey tea for upset stomachs, colds, anything else like that. Then you get into your herbal teas for medicinals, and we'll tell you about that later. Spices. Spices, as many as you can use and need, because spices will also become your medicine.
Yep.
Okay? Look them up. See what you have. Look up the health benefits of them and how to use them. I myself, because I am a klutz, we have this big, literally 1 pound jar of cayenne pepper. Because I'll take chunks of it, whatever, and go, this is the medicinal one. Usually I'll slice my finger open pretty good, and I'll end up going, blah, and it cauterizes and
General healed over 24 hours later.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it pulls it together really good, and it disinfects, right? Mm-hmm. Plus, it's also good for a heart if there's anything going on, if you have a heart or brain event, having that.
And we could go through the list of spices and tell you that it's good for this, good for that, this is good and that's good. Cinnamon for diabetics and
everything, but yeah,
there is
too long.
So much.
Too long. And if you're a spice nut like me, we'd be here talking about it for 3 hours.
We've been here about 20 minutes already.
Oh, yeah. Condiments. Use your lemon and your lime juice. Your vinegars, white and apple cider vinegars. Use your soy sauces, okay?
And you can grow a lot of herbs yourself. It's pretty easy to do a herb garden.
Yeah, even in an apartment.
Yeah.
And again, that's medicinal. So look at all the condiments that you would like to use in your cooking, and you have those. Yeah, pickled things like olives, dill pickles will help upset stomachs. Really, will take care of bloating, gas if you've eaten something off. You eat a dill pickle, chew it up really well, or you drink the pickle juice.
And if your stomach's really upset and it's not sensitive to cayenne pepper, you can actually throw a little cayenne pepper in there as well, and that's going to actually do a antiseptic cleanse in your gut to some degree.
So your jams and stuff. Again, you can make those. Here's one thing I've done for us. We've chosen 3 different ethnic foods that we like to eat. And so we've started stocking up on long-term storage dried goods for those. So that is something to consider.
Japanese, Indian, and
Mexican.
Mexican.
So, nobody wants to live on beans and biscuits forever. So get your variety going on there. Now, supplements. We're just going to, like activated charcoal, really good. Chlorella, really good. Turkey tail, mycelium, mushroom powder. You got your D3s. You got your K2s. The big one for most North Americans that we all seem to have a problem absorbing enough of is your D3, your K2, your potassium citrate, and your magnesium citrate. Stock up on those, if nothing else. I'm going to push Inner C because that is a great little packet of vitamins. And it helps you get through the day and acts almost like an electrolyte.
And kelp for?
Not there yet, but okay. But your B complex, your C vitamins, you get them for chewables if you can with kids. Your kelp is iodine. Everybody needs iodine, whether there's a nuclear event or not. Right? Iron, for those who need iron. We've got... when we get down to the medicinals, we have heat wraps. We like the Chinese 701 muscle heat wrap.
Yeah,
Tape. That's incredible for all sorts of things. You've got your Tylenol if you use it. Stuff for children, absolutely, and Benadryl. Not only allergies, but if the bee stings, things like that. You need to consider that. If you have colloidal silver, like a spray or a liquid, Epsom salts is a big one. Not only can you use it in soaking for sprains and other stuff like that, gargling, you can also, if you have a garden, put it in your garden with your vegetables and your fruit trees. They need that. And they will grow so much better and give you a better harvest on there. You have eye drops, right? Ibuprofen, We like Ninjiom for throat, things like that.
Yep. And creams for rashes and things like that.
Yeah, so use what you can. If you can get more towards the more natural, that's what you need to do. You need to go with that. So you go over these ones.
Arnica.
Arnica's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So surgical stuff, if you're able to handle it, or if you want to provide for someone else to be able to do it as well, if they don't have it themselves. But scalpel blades can be obtained, and handles, sutures, dressings. It's good to have gauze, wraps, and you can save an awful lot just by having old sheets that you can tear up. I mean, this is going back to Civil War, but if they're clean and in good repair, you can have sheets that are worn out in some areas, and you can rip up a whole bunch of bandages out of linen or flannel sheets. Makes great wraps, and there's natural ones as well. Things like sphagnum moss if you're out in the woods.
Okay.
Old man's beard. There's lots of natural stuff out there as well. So bandages, band-aids. The wraps, elastic wraps that go around for sprains and such, sterile sponges, all different types and variety. That's what you need in all of this.
Right.
Butterflies and things.
Come on in. Or are you going down the road? Okay. That's our friend Judy. She thought she was having strawberries tonight. She's going to have them for breakfast. Again, pocket masks, right? If you're out and about, if you have to give first aid, always good to have those. Cayenne peppers again. Your saline.
Yep, for
right?
irrigation.
For irrigation.
You can make your own with salt. Good clean water.
That fine sea salt, yeah.
And that gets into needing filters, water filtration. So if you're going to be out and about and you don't want to carry enough water, I mean, you might be gone for a couple of days, and you would need then like a gallon of water. If you don't want to carry a gallon of water, then you're going to need something that will filter water very effectively.
Yeah. So hydrogen peroxide. Make sure you have something for both diarrhea and constipation, because that's going to happen.
Yep.
Right? Potassium iodide for any nuclear event. Alcohol foam, I can't remember what that one was for. Cleanses, we've got epi kits if people need it, or tourniquet. And the syringes.
Yep.
For oral doses. And there's always smelling salts.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there a problem? Oh, hang on just a second, okay? Hang on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. A neighbor. Oh, she didn't know we were busy. So, you're getting into your toiletries that you're going to need. Have your shampoo. And you don't need as much conditioner as you do shampoo. So, stock up on your shampoo, not the conditioner. 1 or 2 bottles will last you for a couple of years if you're careful with it.
Large bottles.
Large bottles, yeah. There's one thing, especially ladies and kids or anybody actually, it's called Pseudo cream or zinc cream. Zinc cream. That is so good for so many skin rash conditions, whether it's down in the areas or there's rashes on the face for kids or anybody else. Have that stuff. It is really, really good.
Zinc-based creams have been used for decades with good effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Q-tips. Soaps. Watch what you're getting. We use Ivory soap because not only is it really good on skin, it has the least amount of really weird additives of all of the commercial soaps, but you can also put it on the trunks, about a 4-inch band around the trunks of your fruit trees. And that keeps the ants from traveling up the hill and getting into your fruit. And it'll last for about 2 years before you have to use it again. So, Ivory soap.
Oil lamps, olive oil for fuel, and you can use regular lamp fuel. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good stuff.
The kerosene, yeah. We just go, okay, if you're in a city situation, what's your airflow?
Yeah, copper wire for the wicks, and the wicks themselves, you want to have spares. If you're going to be at this for any length of time, you may need spare wicks.
Right.
And there's various sizes, so you have to get the right size. We need storage boxes. If you're going to put stuff away, if you're going to use stuff, you're going to need small, medium, and large Ziploc freezer bags, aluminum foil, cling wrap, parchment paper, aluminum foil, vacuum seal bags. If you have a vacuum, if
you're doing in the food savers and stuff.
Yeah.
We've got all sorts of different rolls.
And
House
then
supplies, light bulbs, and not the LEDs.
And you're going to have some means of doing laundry, borax laundry soap. You can make your own a tremendous amount of laundry soap with soap bar and Fell's naphtha. You can make a massive amount of soap with a small amount of those too.
Yeah.
You're going to need some extra dish soap, Dawn.
For the degreasing. But also, if you decide to, wash with baking soda and a little bit of vinegar instead, that does just as good a job as cutting the grease and sanitizing everything.
So you're going to need to service your vehicle. And you're going to have then extra oil. You're going to need filters. You're going to need air filters and oil filters. You're going to need some zip ties for whatever it is that might be coming apart. You're going to need some extra clamps so you can clamp things back together. Hose clamps and things do wear out, or you can get a leak. Having a bicycle inner tube, you can wrap things with rubber, put a clamp over top of it, or a couple of clamps over top of it, and create a seal that way.
I also me being girl, I like that can of air and seal that you can put into a flat tire.
Yeah, you can also
keeps it going for a long time.
Spray and seal. For what's used on gutters, you can use that for sealing all kinds of leaks on various things. Yep. So spray and seal is a great product as well. The start in tools is with hand tools. So you want to have a hammer, you want to have a multi-screwdriver, you want to have
your Allen wrenches.
Allen wrenches, car wrenches. You're going to need some metric and some standard. If you've got socket sets, that's even better. And so you need all the hand tools. If you're going to be able to burn wood, you're going to have a means of cutting it, not just chopping it, because chopping it takes an awful lot of effort as compared to sawing it. So having a double buck saw for those that are out in the country makes a big difference. When you're not running a chainsaw, if you try and run a chainsaw, you're calling everybody in the area. Here I am, I've got stuff. So that can be a problem. So part of being in the early stages of this is getting by when everybody's in a theft mode.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this, because we started this off at the beginning. When you've got a worldwide event, go back and look at the history books for number 2 and see what our parents and grandparents did. Started from the Depression forward, because we're in a stock market crash event. Things are going to get worse and worse and worse. Your money's going to buy less and less. And you think, oh, I don't have much money now, I'll save up and buy later. The prices are going to go up so much.
Shortage, supply chain events,
and shortages,
and the country is printing and
whatever,
and all over the world, but in the U.S., 100 or 1 trillion every 100 days.
Yeah,
extra added to the debt. Increased money supply equals inflation.
So, and we're the ones that suffer.
Yeah,
more than anybody. So that's why we're saying, look at Depression era. Make sure that you've got enough clothing for a couple, 3 years. And that means sensible shoes, boots for yourselves, for the kids, the grandkids.
And you have to be able to take defensive positions, because there's so many people that have come across borders all over the world. That's a really important aspect of all of this. And pray against evil as part of this. Greater is he in us than he who is in the world. So this is an important aspect of this.
Yes.
But you have to stand up and say no. You have to resist. That's required. We're not to roll over and let government officials tell us what to do when it's a detriment to ourselves.
Well, tell us how to live and how to die.
There are God-given freedoms, and we're to hold on to those God-given freedoms.
Yeah, exactly. So go back and look at World War II books. You have time, do it. Okay, we're coming up, how many days to an election? Less than 90 days to an election. What if the election is stopped? martial law. What happens because of martial law? The clampdowns, lockdowns, stay in your home, don't go anywhere. If you do, we're going to come after you. There will be others who will be out there, and especially for city people, you've seen the rioting and the burning in the buildings and everything go. Make sure you either get out within the first 24 hours and don't leave it until hour number 23 and then try to leave.
So when you talk martial law, we're talking travel restrictions. They can use geofencing. They can use tracking mobile devices.
On your phones.
Yeah, so they know where you're going. So you have to be able to not only turn your phone off because it stays on regardless of it's turned off. And can be used as a listening device and for geolocation. So there's a thing called a Go Dark bag. You can put your phone in a Go Dark bag, and it's no signals come out of that.
In or out.
Yeah.
It works, and I can actually put 2 phones in here.
It's a portable Faraday cage.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to have, and if you travel around, you keep it in there. You only pull your phone out for an emergency use. You remember when we used to go shopping all the time, and we'd be on and out all day, and nobody had a phone to work with? And now we think that we can't leave home without a phone because, oh my gosh, what if an emergency happens? Well, put them in a Go Dark or whatever your favorite brand is. I could put 2 in here and only take them out when you need them. Because, 1, you don't need people knowing where you go to go shopping and what you're buying, do you? Deal in cash as much as you can.
Yep.
All right? And if it's the big things that you know you have to buy, put that in cash. Put anything else if you have to on a bank card because you're tracked. So, and it's not their business. Somebody might say, oh, well, we can't go against the government. Yeah, you can. It's not their business. They're eroding freedom so fast.
We don't collect points. We don't collect any points.
We don't collect points or anything.
That system is used for tracking.
Oh, sorry, I've got a hair somewhere here. So, yeah. So, just remember, this is all designed for control and to take your freedoms away. Period.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to live on your knees or do you want to stand?
Yeah.
That's a question that you have to answer for you. And if you want to stand, put stuff together, even if you're low income. Like I said, we make decisions not to go traveling anywhere, not even, to go see family a couple 100 miles down the road. And they understand. So, and they're in the same boat. So, that's what happens. You make those decisions.
Now, a big aspect of what's going to go on is being able to look after your own health. And I'm going to hold this up.
And it's backwards.
And this is...
It's called the Lost...
If you can read this with a mirror.
No. It's just called The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. And it's by Nicole Appelian and Claude Davis. Save up and get that book. Well worth it.
Yeah, it's one of the most complete from harvest to amounts that you give out. Harvest, preparation, and dosage. It's got it all and what it does. And it's collated in such a way that you can look up headache and find different things for headache. Right. Or, so it's organized well.
Yeah, and you'll be able to see that when you look through the book.
Yeah, it's got a great index.
So the thing is, you have your martial law, you have civil conflicts. Sit down and talk with your spouse, with your friend, whomever, or if you have to talk by yourself, or drop us an email. You know how to find us. We list it on the channel, and ask questions, and prepare. And if somebody says no, I don't believe it, and they stick their heads in the sand, well, you do it anyway on the sly.
Now, when the Conestoga wagons were going across the prairies, okay, you had to have something in the neighborhood of 3,000 pounds of goods in order to join a wagon train. Otherwise, you were underprepared. And the same thing goes with what's going on here, except some of the food is dried and such, so you can maybe cut the weight down a little bit that way. But imagine trying to travel during geofencing, travel restrictions, martial law. You can only run at night. You've got to get around blockades. You can't do it with a car. The roads are blocked at the important intersections, at the bridges, at whatever. And how are you going to get there? So if you're going to have a bug out place, a place that you're bugging out to. You've got to stock it ahead of time. You've got to have buried caches. You've got to have coolers and
we've been
whatever else, right?
we've been telling you guys this for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And then when he was on the other channel, he was talking about it then as well.
Yeah.
But the more and more we see, if people, because of what's being done by world control groups and then the governments who want to control, it looks more and more like people are going to need to bug in.
Yeah.
You know, so unless you're living under a volcano on the west coast that could go up, or on the coast where there's subduction and you get an earthquake and you've got a tsunami going, you need to be able to deal with where you are for the most part.
Yeah.
That's your decision to make. That's not ours. So when you look at bugging in, you store what you can and you don't talk about it, right?
Yep.
There will be people that you help once everything and anything gets started, but realize that if they do the lockdowns again this fall because of monkeypox and it looks like they're going to try it again, do not go along to get along.
Now, if you're going to do bug in a rural location, it's different than in a city. If you're in a rural location, bug in may mean that you've got extra plastic for your greenhouses. You've got fertilizer set aside. You've got extra implements, shovels, and such like that.
Extra feed for your livestock.
It may mean that you've got fasteners, containers, large containers of screws, nails of various different sizes, and you may have some solar. So if you've got, there's an awful lot of solar charged tools out there, whether it's drills or saws, whatever it might be. And if you've got a means of recharging batteries, it speeds up what you can do in a day and it cuts down on work. Anything that cuts down on work cuts down on the calories that you use.
Yes.
And you get more done for less. So.
And again, pick and choose the appliances or the hand tools, you know, and I'm going to say ladies, but guys too, you know, if you're doing the canning, if you're doing the meat grinding or anything like that, if you can have two, even if one is used, and make sure it can do a double or a triple purpose.
If
That's
you're relying
always
on
the best way.
And if you're relying on freezers, you've got to be concerned about loss of electricity. Are you going
Get those
to
generators?
You're going to need a generator, and you're also going to need long term. You're going to need to be able to smoke products. Include the old way of preserving meat was to smoke it.
Smoke it, yeah.
Smoke it and dry it. And if you go that route, then you can preserve an awful lot of meat.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I want to talk about, and especially because it's such a trendy thing, and, you know, we've been doing it too, is the carnivore diet. And look at what they're doing to ranchers. Get rid of the beef, get rid of the beef. You can't grow your beef, slaughter your beef, slaughter the chickens, kill the chickens, anything else like that. Go. Get your meat, even if it's hamburger, just hamburger at, you know, an 80-20 blend. Or if you can get them to put more fat into it, have them do that. Stock up on it. You can can it so it's ready to eat or keep it in a freezer. But hamburger's the cheapest way to go, so are eggs. If you've gone carnivore and you haven't really thought about all of this other stuff going on and you've got a beautiful vegetable garden, you're going, well, what do I do with the vegetable garden now? You grow what you can tolerate. You also grow for chickens. If you know somebody who's down the road and they got chickens, grow some chicken feed for them and trade them for the eggs.
Yep. Chickens will eat pretty much everything and anything.
Yeah.
So you can actually use, if you're going higher protein, animal based, then you can have some of your own depending on the situation, and create your own chicken feed.
Yeah.
Your own goat feed,
fruit,
whatever
trees,
it
berries,
is.
whatever.
Yeah. So you can take all of your tree fruits and such and have them processed in such a way that they'll preserve as well.
Yeah, but we ask, especially me, I'm real kicky about it, is please, animal-based fats. Those are going to be your friends, your big friends. That's going to keep you healthier longer than anything else. First thing is feed your brain. If your brain doesn't function, the rest of you doesn't function. And I mean with having your wits about you, having discernment, using wisdom.
Now, as far as grains go, if you're going to pick up berries, wheat berries, others, if you can find grains that have not been, 70% of commercial grains, this is coming from grain growers, 70% of commercial grains go through a drying process, which includes glyphosate, which comes from Roundup.
Yes.
It's quite toxic, and that's the cause of a lot of people's trouble with
wheat.
With grains.
With grains, period, yeah.
With flours. So if you can get away from that and get to organic, there are good organic grain farmers, and they're not that much more expensive. But then,
and plus you're helping a farmer and you're helping yourself.
Yeah. So it'll help your health.
Yes.
And then you can continue with the grains, and they're very, very long storage. Suddenly you've got a source that is so shelf stable, so shelf stable.
Yes, shelf stable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So water. If you are in areas where you can capture rainwater, do it. You can run it through a filter. You can have a little UV light unit like this that you can have around your water to kill the bacteria in it. Yeah. Plus running it through a charcoal filter.
Yeah.
So that you have rainwater to drink. What they're putting in the tap water, you don't want to be drinking anyway. But capture rainwater. We know that, California is saying we're going to come after you for catching rainwater, but there are sneaky ways to do it. Do it. Your life is worth more than the smallest fish. Okay? God takes care of all of us, but he loves humans the best. So, he provides for us. If we just pay attention, he'll point it out to us. So, water. Water first.
Yep.
Food, shelter.
Water, food, shelter, and then comfort after that, and sustainability.
Not Scrabble. No, not Scrabble.
And that's another thing. You need to have things that will occupy your time.
Yes.
When you don't have
Keep
any of the normal sources that you're used to through electronics.
Yeah. So,
communications, if you're going to travel, it makes a difference.
Yep.
That you have.
With a red light on it.
With a red light on it, yeah. Now, how did I do that suddenly?
I don't know. Doing electronics. Anyway, here. Have a walkie-talkie set that you have with you that you can use in your neighborhood. Okay? It's great to... How do I turn off the red light? I'm not sure. So anyway.
I don't remember anymore.
Sorry.
I'm hitting buttons. It's not working. Oh, there it is. I got it.
This is why we call him Terry the Technosaur.
It's the button up here on the left
top.
Yeah,
the button on the left. So anyway, seriously, get one of these or two of these, for your family.
Yeah. And so you can be away from each other, and you can...
But they do work line of sight.
Yeah.
Just remember that, okay?
Yeah, so if you've got a whole bunch of bush and stuff, that's not going to work through the bush, through the trees.
But for neighborhood and neighbors talking to neighbors if you need to, that is a great thing to have.
Yeah.
All right? Especially because of earthquakes, volcanic, the fires that are going on, or anything else like that. Your electronics go down, those walkie-talkies.
And flashlights. With rechargeable batteries and solar power. You can get solar-powered rechargeable flashlights. And those are a great asset as well, because you're not going through all the batteries. You quickly run yourself out of batteries.
Yeah, we've been finding that the rechargeables are way more reliable than the regular batteries.
Yeah.
I've been using 2 sets of AA batteries for 3 years now, recharging them.
Yep.
And heavy drain use. Every other day I'm recharging them because I play Fortnite.
Yeah.
So they work really, really well. You get a little solar panel for your recharger, and away you go. If If you have electricity, great, away you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So the thing to do is to think about martial law and what all that entails, and civil conflict in your area, because not everybody's going to have the same type of civil conflict. So think of the extra, besides food and stuff, that you have there. And also be aware that you may have the elderly to look after, okay, or kids, but you cannot give away all of your food. You just can't. So pick and choose carefully, wisely, with discernment and with prayer on who you can help, right? If there's people out there who refuse to prepare and say, well, I'll just come to your house, or I'll just go to your house, or I'll go to house and everybody will feed me.
And there's a great
Don't do
many
it.
Christians that have decided to believe the false shepherds and not prepare because they're all going to be raptured away. We don't believe that's the case. We don't believe that's biblical. All salvation comes first through witness. And there are two witnesses through the last days. There's two olive trees, the Gentile church and the Jewish church, this described in Revelation. And they are here to witness through end times. We're here to serve through end times. That's
Yeah.
part of what's going on.
So does that mean that we don't believe? Heck no. We believe all the way. We believe the Bible front to back.
Yeah.
So, and this is why we prepare. And this is why we're also telling you different ways to prepare, whether it's for natural disasters or man-made disasters. So anyway, we're running on to 51 minutes here, but take the time to think things through. Get those extra cans of beans, ladies products, big time. Get those, because those pads, even though you may not like the pads, guess what? They also work for wound dressing.
Yeah.
If you need it.
So we could have gone into much, much more detail, and we could have made this a 4-hour show quite easily.
Yeah.
But the main things are to have, if you don't know yourself, have the books that will tell you that you can rely on in physical
form. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want online stuff because the online is going to be unreliable.
Right. And we really, really, really want to highlight this time period between now and January 20th of next year is going to be so tumultuous, and things are going to come. Well, you see how fast things are coming on you already, right?
Yeah.
It's just bang, 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 bang. Well, triple the speed.
So
just to keep you off balance.
Yeah.
Right? And trying to respond to everything.
So prioritize what you're most needing and what you're most short of those things that you really need.
And do it now.
Yeah.
And then start acquiring them. Start making bartering deals with your neighbors that you can trust.
Yeah.
Right? And never undervalue what you have and never overvalue. The point is not to gouge the next guy and make money.
Yeah.
It's to help each other out. And that's the main thing.
And those neighborhoods, those members that can group together and work together are going to be the most successful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we want to see everybody successful.
Yeah.
So again, the time between now and January 20th next year, very volatile, because the bad guys, they're being chased down. And what happens to a wounded, dangerous animal in the first place when it's cornered?
Yep.
Strikes out harder, strikes out faster, and will take out anything with them that they can take out. And we don't want you to be a victim of that because you failed to prepare and you're preparing to fail. I know you've heard that before.
And that same approach applies to the administrations, the ones that are voted for. Mm-hmm. So if they want
your local level right on up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not the time to place your faith in authority.
No.
Other than the authority that comes from God.
Yeah. How did that authority work out for you starting in 2021? Just asking.
Yeah. Yeah, the wonderful
Right? Think about it.
recommendations and the following
And the threats.
excess death levels that have followed taking that cookie that we talked about.
And the threats. So,
Yeah.
again, think about worldwide event number 3, martial law, civil conflict, nuclear threat. I think that's going to be just so potassium iodide, seaweed, if you don't have potassium iodide pills, right?
Yeah.
And then they're going to try to scare people so bad that, civilization's going to die.
Yeah.
Be prepared to that. Be prepared
Spiritually.
spiritually and mentally and physically. Okay?
Yeah.
So that should do it for now. We'll be canvassing your comments, as always, with lots of love. And if you have questions or you want to discuss a point or say, well, I'm not sure that's going to go on, please make it in the comments, because we will be monitoring this for the next few days to help out anybody we can. And if you have questions,
if you want specifics, we'll share what we can with you.
And email if you
comments.
need to keep something private.
Yeah.
And you do, you send it to FeedMySheepEqReports at pm.me. It's in the channel.
Yeah,
Or is
in
it
the channel
Earthquake, or is it
details.
FeedMySheepEQReports. That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be down below there where you can find it. Okay? So,
In the program details, I believe.
yeah.
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 All right, so thank you all for joining us. We hope you found this helpful, and we look forward to answering your comments. We'll see you next time on Feed My Sheep, Earthquake Reports, and more. Go with God's blessing, and bye for now.
Bye.